We are past the halfway point in the season. This is the 2023 Week 6 video review for the ODAC and USA South conferences. Let's start this week by addressing a game management issue. Follow the ball here and then make your eyes towards the sideline. While we are officiating, we want to ensure that coaches and players and game personnel remain in the restricted area. But we also need to ensure that non-game personnel are aware of where they can stand and work on the field. Let's be proactive and talk to these members of the media when it becomes apparent that they need instructions on where they can stand on the field. Let's look at a great game management situation. Notice the stakes at the top of the field. This is a fourth down play. And it's close to a first down. Before the snap, we see our referee and our umpire closing in on the offensive line of scrimmage, with the referee holding up the iron cross. The offense must have substituted, and by rule, the defense gets an opportunity to match substitutes. Great job here in ensuring the offense doesn't snap before the defense is ready. After the snap, we have a whistle and we have both our short wings moving towards the play. The only thing that it could have improved here is that we give the dead ball signal and we kill the clock. H is signaling now. We can do this earlier. Overall, great job by the entire crew. We want to see good communication out there with both our other officials and the teams to make sure we don't allow anyone to have an unfair advantage. Let's look at a potential case of leaping. Circled here is our potential culprit. Leaping occurs when a defensive player tries to jump over an offensive player in an attempt to block a scrimmage kick. There is an exception to the rule, though, and that exception occurs when the defensive player has an initial position within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage and is stationary at the snap. In this scenario, we see that our defender is within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage and stationary at the snap. From the end zone view, we get another look. Number 44 jumps into the air from the ground. He is immediately blocked below the waist, but this is not a block below the waist because number 44 does not have his feet on the ground. While airborne, we notice that number 44 reaches out his left hand, but this might be precautionary as he's getting blocked below his waist. This is a good play not to have a foul, and we can rely on number 44's initial position to help explain why we didn't put a flag on the ground. On this next play, we want to talk about keys and coverage areas. Focus on the numbers 2 receiver on the top side as he crosses the middle of the field. On this play, we have a holding foul on the defense. After the receiver breaks towards the middle of the field, number 7 restricts his arm before the ball is thrown. Based on our initial keys, the number 2 receiver is the short wing's responsibility. But when this foul occurs, the short wing can only see through the defender's back and would have to guess at whether or not this contact actually results in a foul. To resolve this issue, we might want to get some help from a different official. If the foul occurs right here, you'll notice that the number 3 receiver, whose responsibility of the back judge, is now crossed paths with the number 2 receiver. This means that our back judge, whose attention should be in the same general area, can contribute some knowledge to this play, seeing as the number 3 receiver is not closely covered by the defender. When we have situations like this, where our receivers are crossing paths, let's try to help out our other officials and contribute whatever knowledge we have to ensure we get this call right. On this play, let's look at a scenario involving tripping. In order to bring the opponent down, number 9 in red uses his lower body to make contact with the lower body of the white player in possession of the ball. By rule, this is a foul for tripping, so we do not want our players kicking each other on the field. Tripping is not permitted against any player on the field, including the ball carrier. Remember this when you're on the field on Saturday. Here we have a 2-play vignette to help us better understand what to do when we have a kick out of bounds. So here we have good coverage on the goal line and one that's close to the pylon. I think we get it right. We get a flag down the field for a kick out of bounds. On the next play, however, notice the location of the ball. On the previous play, we noticed that the kick went out of bounds on the far sideline. So, in order to correctly place this ball after a kick out of bounds, the ball should be placed on the hash mark nearest where the ball went out of bounds on the sideline. This is an easy way to manage the game properly and enforce the rule appropriately. Let's get this right if it comes up in your games. On this play, I want to emphasize sticking with your keys, especially on kick plays. On this play, we have 3 fouls that we wouldn't be able to get if we did not stick with our keys. First foul is clear from the sideline view. With 2 players engaged, we all of a sudden see helmet up high and the helmet fly off of the blue player. This is a good pickup by our field judge. From the end zone view, we have 2 more fouls become clear. Number 7 slides in front of the returner and, while trying to block the white player, slips and makes contact low on the defender. In the middle of the field, a would-be tackler is no longer in contention to make a tackle when there's a block in the back by the blue player. Sticking with our keys will allow us to pick up all 3 of these plays in real time. Don't follow the ball and pay attention to your responsibilities on each play. On this play, let's watch the gunner. Deep wings. On punt plays, your primary responsibility is still the number one receiver. On a punt, that just happens to be the gunner. Let's stick with our keys long enough to know how this player ends up on the ground. Here, the player on white grabs the arms of the gunner and throws him to the ground. When this player ends up on the ground, we got to know how they got there. And in this case, we have a holding foul by the defense. When we have a holding foul during a kick by the returning team, we're going to enforce that foul from the PSK spot, or in this case, where the punt is caught. Here's a play where we want to talk about the offensive formation. Let's look at this formation. We have two wide receivers on the near side of the screen, but it's difficult to tell which one is in the backfield and which one is on the line of scrimmage. According to our line judge, he considers both of these receivers to be on the line of scrimmage and has punched a fist forward to communicate that. This is not an official CFO mechanic, but it's a good way to indicate that we have an eligible number and an ineligible position on the line of scrimmage. As this play continues, we notice that both receivers go downfield and we have a flag for an eligible downfield. Now, we want to wait until a pass is thrown, because if no pass is thrown, we're going to wipe this flag off. And we notice that the quarterback still has the ball in his possession. Hold on to this flag until we know we have a forward pass, and then we can put that flag on the ground. We also end up with a hold on this play, which is picked up by the referee and will ultimately negate the ineligible downfield. Let's communicate with players. If we can make it legal, let's make it legal. But if both players are on the line of scrimmage, let's make sure we communicate with the coaches and the players on how they can correct it going forward. And make sure we correctly adjudicate this after the play becomes dead. One you make the call play this week. Here's the player you would want to watch on this play. Is this player allowed to deliver a low block from this position? And during the course of the play, do you have enough contact to yield a low block? Talk with your crew and decide whether or not we have a foul on this play, and how could you be proactive about this going forward? That wraps it up for this week's video review. Only 5 weeks left in the regular season. Go out there and have a great Saturday, everyone.